Now we have Abhilash from Chennai. Pranamacharya, my question is from the following excerpts of VVV. The first excerpt says, as long as illusory evaluations are projected, spontaneity is shut out, and it is only in spontaneity, which is living in the present, that any relationship really exists. And then there is another one that he quotes. Clearly, the present cannot be apprehended via our sense perceptions. Never by looking or listening, feeling, smelling, or tasting can we hope to make contact with the present. So he says that in the two excerpts, it is being pointed out to us that a real relationship is possible only by living in the present. And he also mentions that living in the present is not possible with our sense perceptions. Is VVV suggesting us to be related without the I and all the Prakritic tendencies? Please help me understand what does it mean to be related by living in the present. To live in the present is to live surrounded by, enveloped by the one who really is present. What do you mean by present? The one who really is. Live in that. What do you mean by absence? That which is not is called absent. What do you mean by presence? That which is called present. So what is meant by living in the present? Live in that which really is. Translate it. Live in that which really is, and hence stop living in that which really is not. Further, stop living in illusions. That is what is meant by living in the present. Did you get the step-by-step process? Stop living in illusions. That is the meaning of living in the present. Stop living in illusions. Have a knack for the facts and then knock over the facts. Facts are the door. Illusions are the space in which we live. We live in a closed space called illusions. That closed space has a door. That door is called facts. No, facts. Beyond the door is the truth. Facts are not the truth, but they lead to the truth. And living in the space of illusions, do you have access to truth? No. All that you have access to is the door. That's why I stress so much upon facts. It's pointless talking about truth, because living in this closed space, you anyway know nothing about the truth. A person who is living in illusions, if I talk too much to him about truth, what will he do? He will imagine more and more illusions about truth. Truth too will become a fiction, a story, a part of his narrative. No point talking about the truth to people who live in their self-made, which is self-imagined world. What helps them? the facts, the bare facts. And once they have come to the bare facts, it does not take long to step out into that which is unknowable, into that which transcends not merely imaginations but even facts. That might be beautiful. That might be absolutely fabulous, but that must not be talked of too much. If you talk too much of that, it's not going to be useful. If I say truth is beautiful, how do you take it? Probably truth looks like my girlfriend. So what's the point talking so much about truth? I say truth is tremendous. How do you hear it? Probably truth is like some Superman. Truth is pure, and immediately you conjure the image of a pristine glacier or something else that you label as pure. Does that happen or not? So what was we talk of? Facts. And therefore, research, analysis, and numbers must have a great place in the spiritual process. Mathematics can be and must be a great method in spirituality. Words you can misuse and play with. Numbers, they are relatively tougher nuts to crack. You can come and tell me, Acharya ji, I work so hard. Now you have used words to mislead me. Once I ask you, show me the numbers. How long have you worked and on what? And what was the quality of that work? Express that too in numbers. Then you find the door knocking. The lies are being caught. The layers are being removed. It's not that the ego cannot appropriate numbers. Obviously, man can use all kinds of data and statistics too. To serve his own limited interest and further his deep lies. But it is relatively difficult to fudge numbers. Words, they are our playthings. Oh, I love you so much. How much? So much is nebulous. I don't want this dubious business. Tell me how much. Okay, I'll give you 5 scenarios. What would you do in each of this scenario? Now you are trying to talk facts. Love you so much is very deceptive. One of the earliest examples of this I get in the story of the author of Ramayana. Who? Valmiki. And in the early days of his career, he was an accomplished robber. You know that for sure, right? जोर से बोलो, क्या बोल रहे हो? हाँ. So he used to do what his profession demanded of him. Loot people, chase them, chop off their heads, and all these things. Professional requirements. One day, it just arises in him to check a few facts. So he goes to his wife, and I don't know, maybe the kids were also there, maybe some other family members were also there. But the wife was surely there. That's part of the folklore. And he says, some quick fact checks, please. Now the wife is alerted. I love you so much, darling. What would you like to have? Should I bring you some freshly cooked deer? The one you have just brought hunted? No. A few quick questions. When I'll get the punishment for all my crimes, my sins, would you bear along with me? I thought, such a pleasant day, darling. Let's go out and roam about. And by the way, just to celebrate the day, we can release that fellow, that Seth, who is lying with his limbs tied in that adjoining room. He has been grunting the entire day. To celebrate this day, let's release a few of these prisoners. He says, no, nothing doing. You answer my question. When I'll go to hell, will you come along? And wife tries to evade the question in 42 ways. I'm adding to the folklore. Folklores are meant to be relished this way. This and that, Let's take the next flight to Maldives, maybe something like that. Paresh is happy. We are talking of wives. He says no, just one thing. Will you come with me when I have to pay for my sins? I do all this not only for myself but also for you. I do all this not only for myself, also for you. Will you be with me when I pay for what I'm doing? And he's a ferocious man. And the 42nd time he roars right into the wife's face. Will you come with me? The wife is now trembling and she has no way to avoid a direct answer. And she says, no. And the door opens. The door just opens. And what is outside the door? A great blankness with no certainty, no comfort. There is no world outside the door. His entire world was in the illusory space. And with the wife's response, with the sudden shock of the fact, the door has just flung open. And once Valmiki has seen what is outside, he cannot return. He cannot return. Check facts. Have deep discussions. Go for numbers. And if there is something that cannot be in numbers, that is not numerical, then ask for direct answers. Test, and test. And before you test others, ensure that you are testing yourself as well. you getting it? That is what is meant by living in the present. Living in the present simply means stop living in illusions. Stop living in illusions. Check the facts. And I hope I haven't brought you to think that facts are the truth. Facts are not the truth, but still they are great enablers. They help you break away from illusions. And that is no small thing. If you have broken away from illusions, truth is just a little bit of grace away. Are you getting it? And then the second one that you have quoted, Abhilash says, the present cannot be apprehended via sense perceptions, obviously. When seen in context of love and relationships, what it means is a relationship that is based on sensory perception alone will be in no way related to the truth. You're talking about men and women. In fact, the first excerpt comes from a chapter titled Men and Women. And especially the man-woman relationship is greatly sensual. It is based on sense perceptions much more than anything else. The man is handsome, the woman is fair. What is it about the woman that attracted him? Oh, fair complexion. What is it about the man that attracted her? Solidly built, tall, dark, handsome. You aren't looking at the real thing. You are going by appearance. And all appearance is deceptive because the instrument that looks at appearance is itself not configured to look at reality. You will be deceived. Therefore, in love, make sure that it is not your sensory preferences that guide you. What must guide you then? The author gives enough clue. He says, live in the present and then there will be spontaneity. What does it mean to live in the present? To not live in illusions. So do not live in illusions about the other. The other's appearance is an illusion. The way the other looks, walks, eats, talks is an illusion. And your body, your prakritic self, is configured to take that illusion very, very seriously. In fact, it is an illusion only to you. To Prakriti, it is not an illusion. To your body, the other's body is not an illusion. It is not actually an illusion at all. The man's body needs the woman's body. True. You do not need the woman's body. What you need is something else. And therefore, going for the woman's body when you actually need something else won't help you. Therefore, it is being called as an illusion. This body of the man definitely is crying for a woman's body. That is a prakritic exigency. Prakriti says, kids, kids, kids. Dozens of them. Every cell of your body is crying out to hear a kid's wails. That's what this body is designed for. The sole purpose of existence is its own furtherance. Even the hair on your head wants only one thing: its own continuation. And because it knows that it cannot continue being itself for long, so it wants to leave a lot of litter behind. I will go, but I'll leave a litter of 26 behind. That's what the body wants. That's not what you want. Remember, that's what the body wants. That's not what you want. You must live in the present. You must be very present, especially in matters of love. Love that which you want. Isn't that very, very obvious and commonsensical? What must you love? That which you want or that which the body wants? Let the body go for what it wants. You go for what you need. You go for what you need. Nothing hinders a person's deepest goals and his quest for liberation than his so-called love affairs. And especially if the love affairs get cemented and frozen, then there is no end to the person's tragedy. Are you getting it? In fact, even to know that you are not the body, facts are so useful. Students of medical science are in a great position to know that you are not the body. Autoimmune disorders, for example. Your body is in a sense acting against you. Your body is in a sense acting against you. You see, these days, I have this which is called a frozen shoulder. You know what is happening really? Recent research suggests that it is the brain that is not allowing the shoulder free movement. The brain is trying to protect the body from me. The brain is trying to protect this shoulder from me. The brain is saying, if I leave this shoulder free, then you will do something with it. So I'll not leave it free. This is now being seen as an autoimmune disorder. It has been seen now that frozen shoulders, which are now also called as contracted shoulders, are not merely results of injuries. In many cases, there is no injury yet the shoulder gets frozen. I'm not a medical practitioner. I'm only speaking from my limited knowledge that I could get from here and there. But what I could read was interesting. It is not that there is some hardware problem here. The brain is constantly telling the shoulder, don't move. In fact, an experiment was done. I do not know about the veracity of the whole experiment, in which patients with chronically frozen shoulders were anesthetized. Now when they are unconscious, then their shoulders were moved, and the shoulders moved. In many cases, maybe not in all. So the shoulder can move, but the brain is not allowing it to move. Now I want the shoulder to move, the brain does not want it to move. Isn't it obvious that me and the shoulder and the brain are two entities? And who is stupid? Not me, please. There is no real injury here. I want to go out and wear my shoes and land on the tennis court. There is no real injury here anymore. But the brain is so stupid. It is still living in the jungle, the old gorilla. The brain is so stupid, it is not allowing the shoulder to move. I'll beat the brain, that's another matter. I'm exercising regularly, doing all kinds of stretching and pushing. So I'll overcome it. But irrespective of that, how stupid is my companion? Be very careful, Abhilash, in matters of companionship. If I could divorce the brain, I would. Well, I won't. One has to be compassionate towards himself as well. Are you getting it? Never by looking, listening, feeling, smelling, or tasting. All verbs that apply to actions that lovers do. Never by looking or listening, feeling, smelling, or tasting. Sounds, feels, smells, and tastes familiar? Especially the ones who are in the pleasure-seeking love business? Happens, right? Never by looking or listening, feeling, smelling, or tasting can we hope to make contact with the present. And in love affairs, this is all that you do. Smell, taste, feel, look, hear. Through that, what do you make contact with? Only the apparent, only the illusory. You do not make contact with the present. Never by looking, listening, feeling, smelling, or tasting can we hope to make contact with the present. All right? How to make contact with the present? How do you know that you're living in illusions? Check, and then check again. And remember, if the illusions are sweet and pleasant, then your tendencies will discourage you when you feel like checking. In fact, it would be odd and awkward. Neither would you want to ask yourself, nor would you want to question your lover, your partner. If you would question too much, the fellow would say, "Oh, do you doubt me, darling?" Obviously, I do. Check, question. It is so strange that lovers talk so much for hours and hours, especially after midnight. But they never talk about the real things, never. Not one real question is ever asked, even if they are talking since 10 years. One real question would be your Valmiki movement. The door would be thrown open and you would be thrown out. But never would you ask one genuine question. All kinds of stupid, foolish, trivial things would be discussed. What is the size of the flower print on your skirt, baby? And then baby would take some inch tape and measure the size of the floral print and then tell. And Baba would be so delighted. And many other such nice, sweet little things, lovers' delights. One real question. How about that?